is dead. Why? Well, probably because they made a bunch of crazy phones without also having like a steady moneymaker at the same time. So let's face it, it's why we love them, but that's why they died. But right before they were going to die, they actually did have one more trick up their sleeve, one more shot in the barrel. And now that I have it here in my hands, I think it's safe to say this was going to be their craziest shot yet. See, the last phones LG did release before they died were the LG Velvet and the LG Wing. The Wing. This is already insane. I remember doing a video about this phone. And this thing was nuts. It looked like a normal phone at first, but it was split so you could swivel the spring-loaded top layer up over the top in a horizontal orientation and then reveal a second smaller square display underneath so you could have a T-shaped screen experience for some reason. All the engineering and software tricks that went into making this not just work, but feel intentional were just insane. This is the same company that also made the G8X, which was right at the beginning of the folding phone era, but they wanted to offer similar functionality at a fraction of the price. So they made a case with a built-in display so you could plug it in and have a dual screen experience. And there were all sorts of other tricks here too, like a fully folding 180-degree hinge and adding pass-through magnetic charging adapters so you could still fast charge even while the USB port was taken up by the case. Again, incredible. But they got all the way to 2021 without also making a real solid, consistent moneymaker phone, which they would have needed to keep the whole thing alive. It runs out of money. They end up shutting down their whole mobile operation. That was also right around the time that there were some rumors, though, of a rollable smartphone from them that never came out. This was 2 years after we first saw a rolling TV from them at CES. But now the year is 2026, and I've got my hands on that rollable phone anyway, thanks to dbrand. I don't know how they get their hands on these things. They have their ways. I don't ask questions. But yeah, I imagine very few people outside of LG have ever held or seen one of these up until very recently. And spoiler alert, it is definitely their most insane one yet. So the concept is simple, right? You have a regular phone again when it's closed, about a 6.7-inch display diagonally. Looks kind of like a regular slab phone. I mean, it obviously isn't, but we'll get to that in a second. But then, with a simple 3-finger swipe gesture across the whole thing, the whole phone expands and it rolls open to become a slightly more square-ish 7.4-inch mini tablet, basically. So anytime, anywhere at all, you can 3-finger swipe to roll it open or roll it closed, like some sort of scroll or parchment or something. It's funny, the number 6.7 to 7.4 doesn't sound like that big of a difference on paper, but it's obviously the shape of the display that's changing quite a bit. And by the way, yes, it does play that sound on the speakers every single time you open and close it. Pretty sure to try to cover the sound of the motors, which you can also hear, about as effective as coughing to cover up a fart, but that's fine. I like the idea though that there's some engineer that had to sit in a room and come up with the perfect sound to like match the frequencies of the motor to try to hide it. That idea to me is hilarious. Good for that person. So the rollable concept itself is kind of interesting. Like you could see how someone would convince himself that this is a good idea. Like some might want a foldable, but maybe you don't. Maybe you want a different way of having a large screen in your pocket and no crease. Right? So that's an upside. But once you actually make the phone, then you realize how insane this has to be. First of all, you got to store that extra screen somewhere. So when you're looking at it like a normal phone, it appears to just be a single screen that kind of bends over both edges, like a lot of those older Samsung phones from when this was trendy. But the extra screen is hidden in plain sight. It's just to the right where it dips off behind this rail. And if you flip the phone over, you can actually see the rest of the display curving over the back here. And LG decided to make that a clear glass as well, so you can actually still see it and you can turn on that back part of the display for various little software tricks like displaying messages or even showing camera UI, so you can take selfies with the primary cameras, which are still back here. There's a 64 megapixel main and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. This part actually kind of reminds me of the Xiaomi Mi Mix Alpha, if you remember that phone. I showed this on video. Xiaomi had this concept phone that also never went on sale, and it didn't expand or anything like that, but it was basically all screen all the way around, which was insane, and it let them play with stuff to put on the sides and back of the phone for the ultimate screen to body ratio. Similar